Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode, a special episode of Straight Talk with Joe Vollano. We're living in extraordinary times, ladies and gentlemen. I know I've been saying this for over a month since we probably started this, but shit has hit the fan. I mean, we have lost it, especially here in Meriden, And we're going to talk about it tonight on what the hell is going on, not only within our city, with what crime is doing, but what our city representatives are doing, because they have absolutely lost their minds. They have let emotion get in the way of facts, and they are creating a very dangerous environment here in the city of Meriden. And it cannot go unchecked. It cannot go unchecked. Because it's not just Democrats. Republicans have lost their friggin' mind also. They have fallen into being bullied. There is no one other than one person on the city council that has a spine. One. It is crazy. They are pushing a false narrative that has been disproven time and time again. And they are now attacking our police department. I will not stand for it. I will not stand for it. But for those of you who are new to the program, I know I've gotten a lot of great comments over the last couple of days. I'm Joe Vollano. I am your host. And I am here to guide you through the bullshit that is going on. I love this city way too much to allow this to be what identifies our city. Because basically, our city council has now told us that our whole city is racist. Our police department is racist. And we're going to go over this nonsense that was passed the other night. That for months I have been told was garbage. By people on my own side. And then everyone goes and votes for it, but one person, Bob Williams, Councilman Williams, the only one with a spine. And we had these conversations today. I'm not here to play games. I'm not here for fucking political games. This is too damn important for people to be playing political games with our police department. And they could sit there and tell me that this is only a small part of the police department. But wait till we go through it. Wait till we go through it. This is an embarrassment. And anyone who is in the city who reads this should be ashamed of their representatives. I am. And I've been told, well, this is going to look bad on the party. No, your vote looks bad on the party. Your vote looks bad on our police department. Don't blame me because you made a bad decision. You got bullied into a decision. Because you're afraid of not being liked. You're afraid of being called a racist. Stand up and have a spine. Go on principle. Because as we go through this is a lot of nonsense that easily could have been rebuked. This should have had pushback. And we're going to hear from every counselor that spoke the other night. I want you, the citizens, to make up your mind for yourselves. You can sit here and listen to me, but I want you to hear it for yourself. And we're going to do just that. But as always, and again, any politician out there who knows I'm talking about them, feel free, by all means, to give me a call and back it up. You call 203-679-9610. If you don't want to sit here and talk, you can simply email straighttalkjv@gmail.com. Or come out here and talk to the constituents directly on the chat. We're on Facebook, we're on YouTube. By all means, the floor is yours. Come and tell me why this nonsense was a good idea. Because I'm being told this means nothing. This does nothing. So if it does, it means nothing. Why the hell did you vote for it? Why? Because I can tell you what this is going to do. Now, every time, and you're going to hear it from now the majority leader, Sonia Jelks. She's the majority leader. The craziest one out of all of them is now the majority leader here in the city of Meriden. And she told us, we are not done with this conversation. We are not done. This is just the first part. Now Republicans that are on the council have now joined their ride to, eventually it's going to lead to handcuffing the police. Now they're going to say no. They're going to say, oh, we're going to watch them implode. No, when you want someone to implode, you don't join them. You get away from them. That's just common sense. And I've left the phone number up here on purpose because I want to make sure everyone sees it. Because if you want to call, by all means, go ahead. Craig, it doesn't matter if any other town has done this. I don't give a crap about any other town. I live here in Meriden. This is where I live. I don't care what other towns are doing. I care about what Meriden is doing. And this, they say, is just a step forward. This puts a divide between everybody in this city. You are now telling white people that they are the cause of all issues going on in the city. That's basically what it says. And again, I'm going to read this stupid waste of a document, and then we're going to go over some actual stats. We're going to go over facts, because facts destroy fiction. It's easy to go on emotion. It's easy to sit there and say stupid crap, but when you have facts that go against it, then what? They just ignore it, because they know they have people in this city that don't want to be bothered with finding out for themselves. So they're going to believe whatever bullshit that comes out of the council. Which is why it was even more dangerous that Republicans joined. But like I said, we do have one. We do have one outstanding counselor, and that's Bob Williams. He stood on principle, and he said, no, this demonizes the police department. A police department that has busted their ass to get crime down lower over the years. These are officers that bust their ass working doubles, because now we have 5 officers out because they got hurt, because they are scared to do their fucking job. If you have kids tonight, put them away, because tonight is not going to get any better. I am done trying to be nice. This is uncalled for. They're being attacked by the state, they're being attacked by Congress, and now they're being attacked by their own city councils. So let's get into this nonsense. Let's get into this, and let's go over exactly what this thing says. And I'm going to leave this phone number up there in case any of our counselors are out there that want to call in. So here's what it reads. Whereas racism is a social system with multiple dimensions. Okay. Individual racism is an interpersonal and refers to an individual's racist assumptions, beliefs, or behaviors that stem from conscious and unconscious. So here we go with the whole ghost within a ghost. You can't even think things anymore. And then systemic racism, which is institutional or structural, and includes inequalities rooted in policies and practices to establish institutions which result in the exclusion or promotion of specific groups or people generally defined by the color of their skin. now that we have the definition out there, thank you. Race is a social construct, whereas race is a social construct with no biological basis. You're right, because we are all Americans. We are all humans. Who gives a crap what color you are? Nobody. Nobody but you. And you're the real racist. But no one's going to say that to your face. I will. I will. If you think you're going to sit here and call me one, no. No. This is a racist document right here that you all signed up for. This is a dangerous document that should never be brought up. But let's continue on. Whereas racism unfairly disadvantages specific individuals and communities, while unfairly giving advantages to individuals and communities, and ultimately negatively impacts the strength of the whole society through the devaluation of some human resources. Show me where that's happening in Meriden. By all means, please, show me where that is happening here in the city of Meriden. Whereas racism is the root cause of poverty and constricts economic mobility. Racism is the root cause of poverty. Do you realize that we have more white poverty in the city of Meriden than we have black poverty in the city of Meriden? And really, Hispanics are twice as much living in poverty than any. And we're going to go over those numbers. We're going to go over those numbers. Because it totally destroys their argument here. But this isn't about facts, ladies and gentlemen. This here is not about facts, it's about emotion. They're opportunists. They're taking the opportunity of what's going on in this country, started by Democrats, to try to push a political agenda. This is nothing more than a political agenda. Right here. And they think they're going to go ahead and do this without any pushback. They are out of their fucking minds. Out of it. Racism causes persistent discrimination and outcomes in many areas of life, including housing, education, employment, and criminal justice, all of which are a social determinant for overall individual health. Now remember, this came through as, I probably should have done this at the beginning. The resolution is declaring racism a public health crisis. Racism is a public health crisis. Not people shooting each other out in the streets that are usually black on black crime or Hispanic on Hispanic crime. It's usually gangs or drugs. That's not a health crisis. In fact, that's not a crisis at all, apparently, to them. But this, by all means, we don't even have this problem in Meriden. But this is a crisis. This is the crisis that they need to sit there and make sure they handle. Because this is the first part of attacking our police department piece by piece. Police officers in the city of Meriden should be pissed off today. I know I would be. I would be pissed. Let's continue on with the nonsense. Racism and segregation have exacerbated a health divide, resulting in people of color bearing a disproportionate percentage of illness and mortality rates, including COVID-19, heart disease, diabetes, cancer, hypertension, homicide, and infant mortality. We're going to go over every one of those today because I have the numbers for every one of those. And you are going to laugh when we see these friggin' numbers. And first of all, I didn't realize I didn't realize cancer was racism. I didn't know that. I didn't know. I guess I learned something new today. Cancer and hypertension is racist now, because I guess white people have the ability to give these to people. Huh? Strange. I don't know. Maybe we have some doctors in there that could explain that to me. So if you're a doctor, please, by all means, there's the numbers on the screen. Please, by all means, give us a call. Whereas Black, Native American, Asian, and Latino residents are more likely to experience poor health outcome as a consequence of inequalities of economic stability, education, physical environment, food, and access to health care, and these inequalities are themselves a result of racism. Are you fucking shitting me? Are you really? Really? Huh. Because last time I checked, my son gets the same education as everybody else in this city. They get the same education. How is that not racist? How is that racist? If they're all getting the same education, economic stability, that's an individual. That's each individual. That has nothing to do with racism. Physical environment? Physical environment? You chose to live where you live. If you don't like it, move. And if you don't like where you live in your physical environment, do something about it. We talk about this all the time. If you're having problems in your area, do something about it. Call the police. Start a neighborhood watch. Food. We have plenty of ways of taking care of the whole hunger problem. And if you don't know where to go, please reach out. We'll help you. Has nothing to do with race. That's more of an economics. That could be easily fixed for you. Give us a call. We'll be more than happy to help you there. And access to health care. You have the same access to health care as everybody else. We have a clinic here in Meriden that's down on Miller Street. You have a hospital right in town. And it's a result of racism? Really? Come on. I mean, just reading it is nonsense. Whereas studies have linked racism to negative health and death outcomes. Catch this, including interactions with the criminal justice system as a leading cause of death for black men. Are you fucking shitting me? Are you crazy? Now, ladies and gentlemen, this used to read, just so you know, interactions with police department as a leading cause of black men. That was the original draft. This was changed. To make it a little softer, as some would like to see it. But the criminal justice system, let's just call it for what it is. I'm not going to say criminal justice system. Let's just call for what they really meant. Interactions with police as a leading cause of death for black men. Not mentioning that the same night this bullshit was passed, we had 3 shootings going on in the city of Meriden. But nobody wants to talk about that. No one on the council wants to talk about that. You want to talk about, I posted it the other night, you want to talk about the real health crisis in Meriden is these gangs and drug violence going on in our city streets. That's where the real health crisis is. Maybe you dumbasses should be focusing on that kind of shit instead of this kind of shit. You are pissing people off, starting with me. Everyone, all 11, really 12, well, yeah, 11, because Thomas said he wasn't there. Councilwoman Thomas said he wasn't there, but she's all for it. So 11 out of the 12 have totally taken me off the edge. Whereas Black Lives Matter. I'm sorry. All lives matter. Black lives, Hispanic lives, white lives, they all matter. They all have equal importance in our society. Every single one of them. The fact that we're trying to put labels and put people in boxes against each other is dangerous, unnecessary, and is borderline irresponsible. Actually, it's not borderline. It is irresponsible. It's irresponsible for council to sit there and try to do that to their citizens. Because they are doing this to the citizens. They are trying to divide, even though they're sitting there saying they're trying to unite. This in no way unites. Whereas the collective prosperity and well-being of the community depends on equality, equitable access to health, safety, and economic opportunity for every resident, regardless of the color of their skin, and now and therefore. The collective prosperity and well-being of our community depends on equitable access to health, safety, and economic opportunity. Like again, where don't you have this now? Where? Health, safety. Our police officers are doing a tremendous job. Tremendous job. And I want to make sure that every police officer out there knows that I want to thank them. Thank them for going and doing a thankless job for ungrateful people. Putting your life in harm's way for ungrateful SOBs. I just want to make sure you understand, police officers and the whole police department, that you are respected and you are loved by a majority of this city. And please, please don't let this nonsense discourage you. I know your job is hard. I understand it. These people have no idea what they're talking about. But they think they know everything. And they're on a political crusade. They are on a political crusade. That's all this is. And apparently, there is no one getting in their way other than one person. One person had the balls to stand up and say, no, not going about this. Now, how are they going to do this? How are they going to back this bullshit up? Well, here it is. We're going to go over that too. Be it resolved that the mayor, who means nothing, and the city council hereby assert that racism is a public health crisis affecting our town and all of Connecticut. And thus, first of all, let's just stop right there. One, racism in our town is not running rampant. It is not. You were trying to make it, but it is not. I'm not going to let you do that. I love everybody. And there's no way in hell I'm going to sit there and let you put a divide on it. I don't care what color you are. I love everybody. And I want everyone to be treated with respect. Is everyone going to have the same outcome? No. No. Nowhere in our Constitution does it say you're going to have equal outcome. You have the opportunity, if you see fit. I grew up poor. I grew up single mother, household. I've seen the shit. I have been in the shit. It wasn't my whiteness that got me out. It was hard fucking work. Putting myself through college. Sitting there working 3 jobs while I did it. It wasn't because of the color of my skin. It's because what my attitude was. It's what I knew I could do. And that goes for anybody. Anybody. It don't matter what color you are. You have the opportunity in this country. That's what's so friggin' great about it. There is no one holding you down other than yourself. No one. Everybody wants to play victim. Nobody wants to take personal responsibility for their own lives. It's easier to blame somebody else. Do unfortunate stuff happen in life? Yes. And like I said, I've seen it all. You have no idea the shit I've seen in my life. And what I've been through. But I tell you what, it wasn't the race, it wasn't the color of my skin that got me to where I am now. In fact, if anything, being a white male, white conservative male in this country is probably the hardest thing to do right now in this environment. When I tried opening my business, I was told it'd be easier if I went and got a minority to join me because there's so many more grants and loans that if you have a minority sitting on your board or as one of your partners. Is that not racist? Is that not systemic racism on the other side? So if I had a woman or a minority working with my company to start my company, it would have been easier to get loans and grants. I had to bust my ass to go through at least 20 investors to get to where I am now. You didn't hear me crying and bitching about it because no one gives a fuck about your feelings. No one cares about mine. You go out there, you put your nose down, and you work. You work, and you work to what you want to do. And that's how you succeed in America. Like I said, I have been poor, I've had money. I've been poor again, and now I have money. I'm not embarrassed by it. I worked damn hard for it. But let's get back to this nonsense of how they're going to sit there and what they're going to do to make sure our town doesn't have racism anymore and we're all equal. The mayor and the city council will work to progress as an equity and justice-oriented organization. What the fuck does that even mean? So what? Affirmative action? You're gonna turn around and just hire people based on the color of their skin and not their qualifications? By continuing to identify specific activities to enhance diversity and to ensure anti-racism principles across our leadership, staffing, and contracting. Oh, so I guess I shouldn't apply for any contracting stuff. I guess me going for the fuel in the city of Meriden is going to be out of the question then, I guess. Huh. This is real good. It just makes no sense. Justice-oriented organization. How? How? What does that even mean? Please, if you are part of the council, please clarify that for me. I want to know. 2, the mayor, which I don't even know why they say the mayor. The mayor means nothing in this town. He means nothing. He just goes away. I only want to say it, the mayor. The mayor. See, this is a problem. The people don't understand how this city works. The city council hides behind the mayor. So when shit goes wrong, they blame the mayor. But he's so stupid, he has no problem going along with it. The mayor and city council will promote equity through all policies approved by the city of Meriden and enhance educational efforts aimed at understanding, addressing, and dismantling racism and how it affects the delivery of human and social services, economic development, and public safety. So basically they're saying the entire system that they created over the last 30 years is racist. Because again, just like we talked about with the state, with those dumbasses getting up in front of the friggin' cameras and saying, oh, well, policies have been violent against inner cities. Policies that they fucking created. I'm sorry, council. I'm sorry, Democrats. You've owned this fucking city for 30 plus years. If you're telling me that policies are racist, it's how we deliver social services, economic development, and public city is racist, you are to fucking blame. You have run this city for 30 plus years, and you're telling me this is the first time that you're having these reservations? Or is the more likely thing is, no, you see an opportunity, could never let a crisis go to waste. You find an opportunity to say, hey, we could push all of our crazy shit on these people now. We could push all of our crazy shit, and they really can't go back against us because we'll just call them racist. Fuck you. That's all I have to say on that one. The mayor and the city council will improve. The mayor and the city council will improve and fund. So it's going to cost taxpayers. The quality of the data Meriden collects and analyzes and use qualitative and quantitative data to assess inequalities, impact, and to enable continuous improvement in equity matters. So it doesn't say how much they can spend, even though they said, oh, we're not unlimited budget. Really? How much is this costing the city of the city taxpayers? Because you're going to hear from Mr. Lowell. You're going to hear from the former majority leader that the money should come from the general fund if needed to support this bullshit. Number 5, the mayor and city council will further work to solidify alliances and partnerships with other organizations, Black Lives Matter, that are confronting racism and health concerns and encourage others, local, state, and regional and national entities to recognize racism as a public health crisis. I got an idea, City Council of Meriden. Why don't you focus on fucking Meriden and shut the fuck up when it comes to everything else? By all means, please do that. Because you can't even get your own house in order, and you're going to sit there and go mandating and trying to push other communities to do this? You can't even run your own city right. Been robbing the taxpayers for years. You've been robbing the taxpayers for years. And now this is another way to siphon off money for other nonsense. And finally, number 6. The mayor and city council will support community efforts to amplify issues of racism. Amplify issues of racism. So they're going to make shit up to make divides, hoping that it's going to gain them votes in November, and encourage and engage actively and authentically with communities of colors wherever they live. Now that in itself is racist. Because basically they're saying, well, screw the white people. Because like I said, we're going to go through the numbers. There's more poor white people in this city than there are poor black people in this city. And we'll identify clear goals and objectives, including periodic reports to the city of Meriden to assess progress and capitalize on opportunities to further advance racial equality and to eradicate health disparities. How are you going to do that? Are you really going to sit there and babysit everybody? See, this is all about control. How are you going to control how people live their lives? To further advance racial equality and eradicate health disparities. How do you do that? That's an impossible task. It is one of those pie in the skies bullshit that they're just trying to say, hey, we're going to do this because we're nice. We care. If you cared, you wouldn't have done a half of what you've done in this city. If you want economic development in this city, you wouldn't have done half the shit you did. This is, you can wipe your backside with this. This is nonsense. And like I said, 11 out of 12 counselors voted for this bullshit. And they should be ashamed of themselves. Ashamed of themselves. So let's go over it. Let's go over the real statistics. Well, let's listen to some of these. Before we go into listening to these morons, let's look at some of the data. Because the data speaks volumes. And like I said, we have, this is up to 2018, okay? So we have, again, in the city of Meriden, 1,909 white families living in poverty in the city of Meriden. 612 black. 63 Asians, 12 American Indian, Hispanics. Look at the Hispanics. You want to talk about places where we should be concentrating? I mean, really, look. Whereas Black Lives Matter, Hispanics should be really pissed off. Because apparently no one cares about them. I care about you guys. 3,783 living in poverty. Have you heard anything? No. No. And they're the percentages. But see, they'll go after that 10% number and say, look how high it is. Even though If you look at Hispanics at 20, almost 21%. Are they saying that's because of racism? That has a lot of factors in it. But again, to blame it on just white people is craziness. Is craziness. And the thing is, most people don't understand it. Most people don't sit there and want to have this fight with them. But this fight needs to happen, ladies and gentlemen. We need to stop this. Every race needs to tell their counselors to knock this shit off. This does nothing to help bring everyone together and move forward. In a city that doesn't even have issues. We don't even have these issues. But then they brought up the infant mortality rate. This is in Connecticut, 2.8, 6.8. That has a lot of issues. And here's the real and then the real number is 51 white babies, 30 black or African American, 51 Hispanic. Do I have that one up here? I don't think I might have put that one up there. But that's the number. That's the number. I mean, what are we really doing here? We're trying to take these very, very minute numbers that really are inconsequential when you think about the overall picture, but they're trying to use them to paint a broad brush of what they think is going on in Meriden. It's crazy. And then we have this one, and this is the prison population for the state of Connecticut. Let's see if I could get this brought over here so you guys could see it, because I think this one's pretty important. I thought I had brought it over. I did not. Maybe because it wouldn't come up. Let's see. Let's see if we could bring this up for you guys. There we go. Yeah, it's going to be a little dark, but. So the top one. These are the people that are in prison. So you're talking about for murder in the state of Connecticut. This can't be the state of Connecticut. It has to be a breakdown of everybody. But again, you're going to hear Councilman LaRue Graham, who's the most spineless of them all, talk about how, well, we're inappropriately disadvantaged because we have lower numbers. But you're committing more crimes, and that's just a fact. You may be 13% of the population, but you're committing a majority of the violent crimes. And that is undisputable. It is fact. It is statistically proven over and over again. But it doesn't meet your narrative, so therefore you don't want to talk about it. Like I said, during this meeting that they had, just while they were talking, we had 3 shootings in the city. 3. But they don't need to talk about that. Let's not talk about that. Look over here. Come on. Nothing to see here. They're playing games. That's all this is. This is just a game to them. This is just a way, again, to get political points. That's all this is. They have an agenda. And they suckered Republicans into it because they bullied them. And you're going to hear what LaRue Graham says, and then we'll talk about what he had to say. This isn't about, they are creating big problems. And I don't know if they love the turmoil, but they're looking to profit off of it. That's what this is all about. I mean, reading what they want to do and how they think they're going to do it, is dangerous. It's causing more racism, just the other way around. So let's get into listening to our great city councilors try to justify the bullshit.
42 was referred to a resolution concerning health department grant award of $42,000 for opioid overdose protection. Report they have attended to the matter and recommend the following. Be it ordered that Director Leah Crown be authorized to
that's the wrong one. I'm gonna have to move that. We'll let that
execute
continue
contract
on.
with the state of Connecticut on behalf of the
And
city
we'll
of
get to
Meriden.
that point in a second. I thought I had it already.
Thank you.
Thought I had
Is there a motion, Councilor Blake?
Apparently, I did
Motion
not.
to adopt committee report.
Back to
Second.
the point.
Motion's been made
So
and
you're gonna
seconded.
hear
Discussion.
counselors.
Councilor Blake.
Thank
First,
you.
you're going to hear about councilors saying how they're
So thank you.
against.
As many of you know, the opioid
What's
epidemic
going
is still an issue in
then
our
they vote
in
for it.
here nationally and in our
that always
city.
bothered me. And I used to sit there
Any
and
money
I
we
used-
can get to
and one
help
thing I
our
used to
city
pick on
tackle
Lou
this
Graham
and
about.
educate
So he would sit
the
there and go,
public.
oh, well,
This
it's
grant will
bad,
help
it's
us
this, it's
provide
that,
pharmacists
but
and
then
physicians
votes for it because
with
that's
more
what his party told him to
information
do.
and services on the
Now,
opioid use
maybe that's
disorder.
what happened with this.
There's
with some
no
Democrats.
matching funds to this grant for our
There is
city.
no excuse
And Leah and
No
her
excuse
staff
in the
are
world
ready and
that a
equipped.
Republican
The timeline in
should
this
have joined
is very short.
on this.
It goes currently from
And then
April
to say,
1st and then to July 31st, 2022. I think this
we
is
didn't
great
agree
for
with
our
the whole
city,
thing. I don't
and I
know
recommend
what
adoption.
part of that. The police department was
Thank
only a
you.
small piece of it.
Is there
what I
any
keep
further
hearing.
discussion?
The police department was only a
Is there
small
any further
piece of it.
discussion? Any
No.
further discussion?
The police was not a small piece. There is nothing on that resolution that should have been voted in favor of.
Aye.
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 Oh, is it still playing?
Any opposed? Hearing none.
Oh.
So moved. Next item, Councilor Clerk.
Item 13, your Human Services Committee to was referred resolution concerning declaring racism a public health crisis. Report they have attended to the matter and recommend the following.
See, so you guys got to listen to some more of the council meeting. So that's probably more than what some of you actually read. That's probably more than what half the citizens of Meriden have probably heard of the city council meetings at all. And that's sad because this stuff is extremely important.
Be ordered that the resolution be amended in the 8th whereas paragraph, change the words police and replace with criminal justice system. And on the second page, third paragraph, add the words and fund after the word improved. Be it further ordered that this resolution be adopted.
So what'd they do? So they changed police to criminal justice, knowing that the only thing that the council oversees is the police department. So again, they're trying to play games with it. And then of course you had to add and fund because they're going to take your money and they're going to use it for unnecessary crap.
Adopted as amended.
Thank you. Is there a motion, Councilor Blake?
Thank you. Motion to adopt committee report.
I have a motion. I have a second. Discussion, Councilor Blake.
Thank you. So after this was recommitted back to committee last Thursday at the Human Services Committee, there was some very lengthy, meaningful discussion that went on the topic of racism and this resolution. It's very clear that education is needed across the spectrum and for the public, and we want to come together as a city recognizing racism as a public health crisis, and I recommend adoption.
Now, I'm sorry. I haven't met a single person yet in the city, other than the 11 morons that voted for this. I haven't seen a single person. And I've talked to probably a good 100 people today that have said racism is an issue in the city of Meriden. Not along a health crisis in the city of Meriden. But the gun violence and the drug violence, that sure as hell is a huge, huge public health crisis. But that's just the people. Who are we, right? We're just idiots, right? We don't know it. We don't know what we're talking about. All right, what was it said today? You just don't understand. Oh, I don't understand. Okay, I understand. I understand that politicians are spineless. I understand that that politicians are as useful as boobs on a bowl. That's what I've learned today. And they just solidified that thought in my head. But let's continue on with the nonsense and see what other counselors had to say.
Further discussion? Is there any further discussion?
Counselor Williams.
Counselor Williams, go ahead.
The one man with
Yeah, I
balls.
first off want to thank Woman Blake. I know she put a tremendous amount of energy into this conversation, and I want to thank you very much. I will not be supporting this resolution. I want to touch on the two items that are a point of conversation for me anyways. Whereas number 8, line item, talks about the criminal justice system. And I believe the language criminal justice system is biased towards our legal system and our first responders, and I cannot support such language. I am not of the belief that our first responders nor judicial system personnel go to work daily with the mindset of doing any harm to any U.S. citizens or personnel ever. This is a time when I believe we should be building bridges and not divides. The other point that I have a concern about is the whereas Black Lives Matter. In my mind, all lives matter. We live in the most blessed and free country in the world with citizens and residents from all denominations and walks of life. As a public official, all lives matter to me, and I cannot support this exclusive narrative language. For this reason, I cannot support this resolution.
Amen, Bob. Thank you. Thank you. Could not have said it better myself. It's a bullshit resolution. He knew it. And he stood on principle. It's an attack on our police department. It's the first step of destroying our police department. It's the first step. And like you're going to hear, it's not the last. Here we go.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion?
Dan?
Counselor Burnett.
Yeah, I have similar thoughts what Bob has. I mean, here you are, this one thing is very aggressive, especially that whereas, and it basically demonizes an entire institution. I understand, conceptually it's fine, a lot of the points here. I do have some concern about the fund part of the resolution, where it was changed into that. And just, I think it's very aggressive in a lot of areas, and it's just not something that I feel comfortable with as far as even like just pointing out like the root cause, that one, whereas I had issues, root cause of poverty. I mean, a root cause, there's only one root cause. You don't have a root cause. There's not multiple root causes. There's one, and by definition, it's the core issue. I mean, so it's kind of plays freely in a negative way towards, an aggressive manner, I would say. I would rather see something similar to this, but in a much more passive, nicer way without having to demonize and exaggerate to some extent, using freely words that I find powerful. I mean, I was just talking about root cause. I mean, root cause is going 5 whys. There's a whole tool belt involved with it with 6 Sigma and fish bones and things like that. And you get the root cause. You can't just freely say a root cause of poverty is racism. I don't think that's fair. So that's about all I have to say. Thank you.
So how do you vote for it? With what you just heard, how can you vote for it? We demonize Democrats all the time for doing this. How the fuck do you vote for it? Stand on your principles. Stand on them. That was a Republican. Who just gave in. It's ridiculous. We're better than that. Damn it, we are better than that. And we bow down to them. You can't tell the difference between a Republican and a Democrat in this city. And we wonder why we don't win. Because damn it, we don't stand on our principles. It was a bullshit legislation. You knew it was bullshit, but you fucking voted for it anyways. No. And I can tell you, I'm going to get phone calls from Republicans after this show, and I don't give a shit. Call me. Try to justify what you did. You have done nothing but set this party back. You have done nothing but set this city back. That's all you've done. That's all you accomplished. And for what? So they won't call you a racist? So they won't bother you? So you can say favor and maybe go have a drink with them at the bar? It's nonsense. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing as a Republican. It's embarrassing as a conservative. But this is what happens when we don't have conservatives.
Yeah, if you guys just bear with me a little bit, my heart is like beating really, really fast here. And, you know, to hear counselors talk about root cause, well, the root cause is racism. And you talk about demonizing. Well, what exactly has the justice system done to a black man? It's demonized them over the years. Why do you think we're at this point? And an exaggeration? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Have you looked at the statistics? Dan, have you looked at? You keep comparing white and blacks to you know the amount that are killed by cops on an annual basis, and you say, well, there's not much of a distinction between there, but yet we're only 9% of this race, so there is a big distinction. You're at least 4 to 5 times more white people in this country than there are black people. So extrapolate that at times 5, and that's the real number if you want to compare apples to apples. And for
I'm sorry. You want to compare apples to apples, Mr. LaRue Graham? Why do you have 13% is what the population is, but they're committing almost 40% of violent fucking crimes? Let's not try this bullshit, Mr. Graham. Listen, they might not be able to sit here and argue with you about it, and you should be glad I'm not on that fucking council. Because I would have told you to take that stick and shove it right up your fucking ass. If you're doing the crimes, how are you going to sit there and say, it's our fault? Look what's going on in our city. So sit there and try to pull it again. And Republicans fell right for it. Hook, line, and sinker. Fell right for it. Statistics don't lie, Mr. Graham. Maybe if you looked at them, you wouldn't know that. But you don't care about stats or statistics. All of a sudden, you care? Black lives are being murdered on the street by other blacks, and I haven't heard a fucking word from you, Mr. Graham. But now all of a sudden, you care. Now all of a sudden you care. Oh, Mr. Mighty. I've been dealing with this my whole life. You've been on the council for what, 8 to 10 years? What have you done? What have you done? You have done shit. You were public safety chairman. You were safety chairman. You did nothing because there was never a freaking problem. But like I said, never let a crisis go to waste. And you have these morons sitting up there not letting it go to. We shouldn't be ashamed of ourselves. You should be ashamed of yourself. Let's compare apples to apples, Mr. Graham. You lose every time. Every time. But you might get away with it on weak-minded Republicans. But But people who know, you don't stand a chance against. Call me, please. We can have this discussion right now. We can have this discussion. Because every stat you just talked about is BS. But nobody had the balls to sit there and come back at you. I would have in a second.
That we think that all lives don't matter and that black lives are the only lives that matter, you're obviously not, you haven't, number one, you haven't been paying attention to the meetings and the talking points. And number two, you got to realize before all lives matter, black lives have to matter. And until you can be resolute with that, you're not going to move forward as a person. I actually feel sorry for you. Obviously I'm supporting this. This is a very, very hot topic for me, a very, very emotional topic for me. I apologize to those who, that I appear to have raised my voice, but this is very personal to me. And again, Dan, you and Bob, you guys go to sleep at night. You don't have to worry about your son calling you and saying you're pulled over. I got pulled over. Although but I'll worry about that myself. So I'll worry about the Black Lives Matter. You guys worry about the other stuff.
And there it is, ladies and gentlemen. That is it. That right there, that statement is what tells you what this is all about. They don't care about anybody else. This isn't about anybody else. This is pushing a political agenda. Obviously, you went to bed pretty well, Mr. Graham, because last time I checked, I don't think any of your kids had issues. You were chairman, like I said, you were chairman of the Public Safety Committee. You never had any friggin' issues. But now all of a sudden you do, and you can't sleep at night. Oh, I'm sorry. I hope New Jersey is a lot better for you. How's New Jersey working out? Because that's where you spend most of your time, right? Maybe you're confusing the two. Maybe you're confusing Meriden with New Jersey. I don't know. But what you just said is nonsense. You know what? I feel sorry for you, Mr. Graham. I feel sorry for you that you don't understand that all lives matter, that every life is special, unique, and valuable. But you're not going to worry about anybody else's. You just said it yourself. You're going to worry about the black lives, and we can worry about everything else. Oh, okay. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, that should tell you 1,000 things and what you need to know. But of course, he's not running for re-election. And that's a good thing, because we don't need people like this on our city council. He is a danger. I mean, I always knew he was spineless, but now all of a sudden he's emotional. All of a sudden he's emotional about it. He's so full of shit. He could have got a fucking Oscar for that performance the other night. Ridiculous. Let's continue on.
So Councilor Graham, I thank you for your comments and your passion. If I could just procedurally remind councilors, not just for this subject, but for any, that comments should be directed to the chair and through the chair, not to one another.
You are correct.
So
I apologize, sir.
that is quite all right. Just a friendly reminder, not made toward you or anyone in particular, but just for any discussion now and in the future. Is there further discussion? I think I saw another hand. Councilor Lowell, Majority Leader Lowell.
Yes, thank you. This is clearly an issue of humanity. This is not an issue of exaggeration. This is an issue of us reflecting on the past in our community, but across the nation, and learning from that. It's an issue of managing today and the present as the leadership body of a local government, taking into account what we do see across the country. And it's an issue of us planning for the
real quick. No, your job is not to see what's happening across the country. Your job is representing the citizens of Meriden. That's your job, If you want to sit there and worry about the country, go run for fucking Congress. Go do that. We don't have these problems in Meriden. We don't have them. We haven't had them. You're creating the perception that we have them. And again, if someone doesn't smack them back on it, the public is going to believe their perception is the reality when it's not. It's not. So you can say whatever you want about what's happening in the country or happening in other towns in the state. Don't bring that shit to Meriden. We don't have the problem. If you want to worry about other things, go to run for the state office. Go run for Congress. I don't care what's happening in other places. Don't bring their shit here. And don't pretend that it is happening here when it's not.
Future. And while I would agree that this is in no way an indictment of our police department as I see it today, and in fact, the language in that section.
How can it not be an indictment on police? You just told them that that one of the root causes or one of the leading causes of death to black people was the police department. How can you say it's not an indictment on our police department? How? How can you say that with a straight face? Why? Because you changed the language from police to justice system? You just said, I read it to you at verbatim from the resolution itself. Police interactions is a leading cause of death to black men. So far from the fucking truth. There are like 1,000 things in front of that. But they're going to perpetuate this false narrative. There is not a single fact to be showing that that is true. It's ridiculous.
Compromise that the police chief has supported. This is a responsible humanitarian achievement of this council to pass. And through you, Your Honor, to thank the chairwoman for her leadership, for when she was not comfortable that it was right to move forward, she took a courageous step to recommit it.
Oh, what a courageous step.
As the chairwoman, that was her prerogative. I supported that. I think it was the right thing to do. And so, Crystal, thank you. It has led to a lot of discussion. And upon the chairwoman's reflection of more education across the board, and to my colleague, Deputy Majority Leader Graham's comments, who I support absolutely 100%, the most education that is needed are members of this city council right now. This is not an irresponsible exaggeration of a resolution. It is a responsible resolution to pass, to move forward. And Your Honor, through
how is this moving forward? How is putting a divide within the city moving the city forward? First of all, I didn't know we had anything to move forward from. Like I said, there is nothing of any proof or stat that shows that we have a problem in the city of Meriden. So what are we moving forward from? What is there to move forward from? You're creating your own reality in your head that makes no fucking sense. That has no legitimate proof to it. You're just creating shit and making it sound like we have problems in the city. This did nothing but try to put a divide. And like I said, it's not going to work on me. I'm not letting this divide. I'm not letting them pin me against black people or Hispanics. No way. I'm not letting you do that. Not for your own political agenda. I'm sorry. No. I love my minority friends. I love this city. I love everybody in it. I want everyone in this city to succeed. But to sit there and try to throw shade to some people is ridiculous. Because it's easier to play victim. No. No. Because it's an easy way to score political points. No. Not going to let that happen. As long as I can speak to this microphone, I will never let that happen. And every time they bring shit like this up, you can guarantee it's going to be followed by an episode. And I'll be here as long as it takes to make sure the point gets put across. And that everything they say is bullshit. And I'll spend as much money as I need to make sure every single person in this city listens to this podcast and listens to the nonsense that these 11 idiots, well, 10 idiots, had to say. It is ridiculous. Creating a false narrative to sit there and get political points. Everyone in this city should be pissed, no matter what color you are.
You, with respect to the funding, if we're going to be serious about issues here in the city, they require dollars oftentimes. Doesn't mean it's going to hit the general fund, doesn't mean it's going to hit the taxpayers. But even if it does, if it's necessary and the council so desires, representing the people they represent, then it should hit the general fund. But there are...
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, you just heard it. You just heard it. This is the majority leader. Well, he was the majority leader. He left the city council right after this. He resigned right after this. Good riddance. We don't need people like you, Mr. Lowell. Get the fuck out. Go. Wherever you're going to go. By all means. I'm happy to see you go. Especially after that ridiculous discussion. Go. By all means. And don't ever come back. But funds should go. So yeah, they're going to take your general fund dollars. You know, because screw the homeless. Screw trying to make the place a better place. You know, screw trying to make Meriden a better place to live with the dollars that we give them. They're going to use it on useless research that is going to prove that there's nothing going on in the city. Same thing is proved all this time. So it's ridiculous. They're doing nothing. They're just going to spend money on nonsense. Your money that should be going to better our city. They're going to use it to chase false narratives. And they're going to come up with absolutely nothing. Because there is nothing. Let's continue on to the next one.
News. And the Human Services Director, Leah Crown, talked and educated the committee and this council about grant opportunities that may very well be available. And so if we're going to keep this subject real, you know, those would be the facts of the matter. So through you, Your Honor, to the chair, thank you very much. And I will be voting in favor of this resolution, as if that wasn't apparent.
Of course you are. Of course you are. Of course you are. You're all for this nonsense. Why wouldn't you be? You're heading out the door. You don't give a shit about what happens when you leave. Doesn't matter to you. But this isn't even the best one. We haven't even gotten to the best one yet. But of course, with anything, for these guys, dollars are all that matter. We're going to spend more money. Your tax dollars. It's your tax dollars. And honestly, we're the ones to blame for this. Because we're the ones that elected these people. Let's go ahead next one.
Even though I hear the pain in Councilor Graham's voice and I understand the sentiment, and my heart breaks that this goes on for Councilor Graham, Councilor Jelks, people across the nation. One of the things that just seems we keep hitting on the police. We already have a multifaceted racial equity resolution that we're still working on, where the police were a major not target, but point of interest. The state then did the same thing. We have looked through our police department layer after layer, and we have not found much at all so far. And I just think it's unfair that the city council continues to pick that one institution. Now, if we had a problem, I would be saying something different. So the language on there changed to criminal justice system. Really, our purview, the only thing we have a say in is the Meriden Police Department as far as the criminal justice system. So it just goes right back to the police department. If you want, I will go with you to Hartford and I will petition to change the laws for equitable sentencing for any crime so that no matter what race, everybody gets the same sentence for any crime. I will stand shoulder to shoulder with you. I will help you in any way, shape, or form with that. The other thing that I take issue with, and it's not big, but I don't think we can legislate the feeling. I don't think we can legislate people to like each other. So it doesn't feel like it's going to do much. And I know that doesn't sound great, but I think we need to lead by example. And the things I saw, I wasn't able to make the Health and Human Services meeting on Thursday night. I had to work. But the things I saw when I watched it back were not people working together. And I think we need to listen to understand each other, not to respond to each other. And I think we really need to take a look at ourselves and how open we are to have a back and forth and to understand where each of us are coming from. So to go back to where I started, I wanted everybody to think about those things. I understand the sentiment. I am going to go in favor of this because I do see and feel how important it is to those of us on the council, to those of us in the city. But I do want to say we have to start working with the police to make things better. We have to start working with each other to make ourselves better and listen to understand. Stop listening to just respond. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Sorry, Mr. Carabetta. They don't give a fuck what you say. They don't care what you think. They don't care. Because you feel that it's important to them, you're going to throw the police department under the bus? You're going to throw a divide in between people? Again, these are fucking Republicans. Are you kidding me? It just infuriates me. You don't like the resolution, but you voted for it anyways. Makes no sense. No sense. Because you know how much it means to them. And yeah, you are working on another resolution that's going to take it one step farther against the police department. You just said it. So why take the first step? If you know where it's going to lead to, why would you even want to start to go there? If you think they're going to implode, you don't jump on the fucking ship. You distance yourself. But feelings are what fucking matter around here now. Feelings. It's an embarrassment. It's an embarrassment. Feelings is what matters over facts. You just heard it. You have to start standing on principle. You must. You're given into a false narrative that they're pushing. And this is only the beginning. You just said it. We're already working on another resolution to go after the police department. But now, every time a Democrat stands up, and you're going to hear Sonia Jelks, every time she stands up going forward now, she's going to be like, well, we do have a racism problem. The Republicans agreed with us. They're going to use it at every step of the fucking way. They've done it for years, and Republicans keep falling for the same damn thing. Like I said, sometimes it's hard to distinguish who's a Republican and who's a Democrat when they're speaking. And we wonder why we don't fucking win. I just don't get it. I just don't get it. We care more about being liked and making sure we stroke someone and say, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. We're on your side here. We care about your feelings. But when the facts don't support those feelings, it doesn't matter. We're still going to give in. No. No, at what point do you turn around and say enough is enough? And like I said, Republicans are going to be pissed. I don't care. You Republicans can be pissed all you want. Be pissed all you want. I will not stand for this. I will not stand for this. I will not stand for attacking our police officers and our police department. They're too valuable to this city. They've taken enough shit from the federal and the state. They've taken enough abuse. They don't need it from you guys. They don't need it. They don't deserve it. Not from a fucking politician who has no idea what it's like to be out there. I've rode with these people. I've rode with these people in New Haven in the worst areas. I've rode with them here in Meriden. What they have to deal with on a daily basis, you wouldn't even have the slightest idea what it is, what it's like. And for them to be attacked like this, and like I said, this is only the beginning. This is only the first step. Because you're going to hear from Councilwoman Jelks, who again is the new majority leader. This is far from over.
Thank you. Further discussion? Comments? I'll go Councilor Jelks and then Councilor Fontanella. Councilor Jelks, go ahead.
When this resolution came to my attention, that it was an opportunity for across the state of Connecticut, for our communities in this state to look at where we are in this moment in time, middle of a pandemic, middle of a social justice movement. What can we do?
What's real quick, just real quick. Again, who gives a shit about what's happening in the state or in the country? You are a councilwoman from downtown who has the worst problems in the entire city. And it ain't racism. You represent Area 1, which is downtown, that has the biggest crime problems out of the entire city. And it has nothing to do with fucking racism. It has to do with gangs and drugs. That's what you should be worrying about. Not what's happening in the state or in the country. Tell me where I'm wrong. Like I said, during this broadcast, You had 3 shootings in her district that had nothing to do with race. But let's not talk about that. You wouldn't understand. You wouldn't understand what they're going through. Now, why don't you tell it to the 2 families that had a fucking bullet put through their house while they were home? Didn't we learn enough in Hartford where we lost a 3-year-old and a 16-year-old to a stray bullet? A bullet don't give a shit what color you are. It kills everybody equally. But let's not talk about it. And let's not really go after the root cause of what's going on in our neighborhoods. You want to see why our neighborhoods are in such bad shape? There you are. There is your root cause. It's not racism, and it's not the police being the leading cause of death to black people. You know you're so full of shit, you can't even say it. Gun violence in the city. That's what's a health crisis in this city. But you got your head so far up your ass and so stuck on this social justice bullshit that you'll never admit it. And nobody apparently will call you out on it. Apparently, except for me. And if I have to be the lone voice sitting here, I will be. I will be. I will sit here every friggin' night if I have to make sure the people of this great city know what kind of shit you're trying to pull. Because it's not right. And what you're trying to do is racist. And I'll be the first one to call it to you. You're a racist. If this is what you want. It's unnecessary. It's unjust. Let's continue on with her bullshit.
As a state and as residents of this state, to put our money where our words are, and we say we love people and we say we want equality for people. We say we want everyone to have the same opportunities. This is the time to do it. This resolution was not put in place to divide this council, to divide our city, to divide anyone.
What do you think it's going to do?
The resolution itself is not about the police. This resolution is a health care resolution.
I'm sorry. Hold on a second. Hold on a fucking second. Where is it a health? Where is it a health bill? Where is it a health bill? Because I tell you what, for decades, everything you talk about has been happening, again, to black people and minorities for decades. For decades. And nobody's given 2 shits. Nobody. Sonia, you've been on the council for 6 years. I haven't heard shit from you. Now we're in a social justice. Stop it. No, you're an opportunist who's trying to capitalize on dividing people based off the color of your skin. That's what you're trying to do. You're trying to create a divide. You might not think you are, because like I said, you got your head so far up your ass, but you are doing nothing but causing divides. At least you're trying to. I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure that doesn't happen. I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure I don't let your nonsense take over this city. It is she is dangerous for this city. She is dangerous. I will say it again. She and her way of thinking is dangerous. And now she's the majority leader. She is the most powerful person in the entire city. Let me say that again. Sonia Jelks, who you're listening to right now, is the most powerful person in the city. And she is a lunatic. And I agree, they will implode. Because I know a majority of citizens of Meritage do not believe this bullshit. And now everyone that has tied themselves to it is going to join the ride to hell when this thing does implode. And I don't want to hear anybody, Democrat or Republican, cry when it does. And then try to say, it wasn't us, it wasn't us. Like I told the Republicans, you made your fucking bed. Now you have to lay in it. And people ask me why I went public against Republicans today. Because this, last time I checked, was Straight Talk. And I told you, I don't give a shit about politics. Am I a conservative Republican? Yes. Am I on the executive board of the town committee? Yes. Do you think I'm going to throw shade for politicians? Get the fuck out of here. No. I will not. I will not throw shade for nobody. Just because we're Republicans, we share an R? You think I'm going to sit there and bend over and say, and take all my priorities and my morals and everything I stand for, my principles, and throw them to the side because you make an asshole out of yourself? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. The party does not matter that much to me. You out there mean the world to me. You are what matters. No matter what color you are, what party you are, it doesn't matter. You are what's most important. Not these morons that are on the city council. I stand for you, not them. And when my party makes mistakes, I will call them out on it. They can like it, not like it, I don't give a shit. But what's right is right. What's wrong is wrong. And you got to be honest with yourself. At some point, you must be honest with yourself. When is enough enough? This threw me over the edge. And I will not stand for it.
And it's about us looking at the fact that this pandemic disproportionately decimated portions of Black and brown communities in a way that it does not do that for all communities. And part of the reason that that happened is because of the health disparities that have been created because of racism, from people not being able to live, work, and care for themselves the way that everyone else is able to, because they are held at a different standard to move forward in their lives. This has been happening for 400 years. And for you guys to say to someone who walks in brown and Black skin, I know you don't know what it's like, but you should just admit that and just say that.
Hold on a second. I'm sorry. You're right. I don't know what it's like to walk in your skin. I don't ever sit there and say I do. But to sit there and say that Black people and minorities and brown people don't have the assumption to know where to go to get health care, know how to sit there and go get a job, that's an insult. That's an insult to every minority in this fucking city. It is an insult. You think they're that stupid? Are you kidding me? You're insulting them. It's almost as bad as voter ID. Well, they can't get a license. Like, what do you think? And if you're saying that they're this stupid, from your words, what you're saying, then how is there ever going to be equality? How is there ever going to be equality if you're saying that these people are stupid, so they can't get a job, they can't go get health care? You're killing your own points. You're contradicting them. How can you want equality? Or how do you expect equality? The only way to expect equality at that point is to redistribute wealth. Is that what the city of Meriden is going to be looking to do in the future? We're going to have a higher tax rate so we can take money and move it to other people? That's not your fucking job. Listening to her speak makes no sense. She's insulting the same people she's looking to help by telling that they're too stupid or ignorant to be able to do things on their own. I'm sorry. I know many minorities in this city. I am surrounded by them down at my garage, and they all have successful fucking businesses. They all do very well for themselves. Because again, they bust their ass. And that's how you succeed in America. The great thing about it is that success doesn't care what color you are. It doesn't matter. If you work hard and do what's right, you're going to succeed. And if you don't, try again. That's what's great about America again. Like I said, I've been poor. I've had money. I've been poor again. Now I got money again. And I can say I live comfortably. But it wasn't because of the color of my skin. And like I said, if anything, me starting my business, being the color that I am, was a hindrance. I didn't get all the opportunities that a minority would have. We talked about it. So please stop with the bullshit. Stop with the victim. These people, you are doing them no good. You're just saying, don't worry about it. It's not your fault. It's everybody else's. You're doing them no favors. You were throwing divides, and that's it. She wasn't done yet. She wasn't done yet, by all means.
Understand what it's like, but to negate it is so hurtful. So hurtful. Because you don't know what it's like to live in our skin and to be fearful of your life, whether it be COVID or whether it be interactions with the police. The only reason that the criminal justice system has been brought up in this whole situation is that part of what causes harm in Black communities is the trauma of racism, which does have interactions with policemen. And you can't say that it doesn't. And especially if you don't live in our skin, you can't tell us that we don't have a right to feel that way.
Listen, you have a right to feel whatever you want, but this isn't about fucking feelings. It's about statistics. Statistics do not show that what you are saying is real. Now, we had a caller a couple weeks ago talk about that. And I said, okay, well, one, was it a personal interaction or was it something that was just taught to you over the years? A misinterpretation of what's really happening in the world. But what she didn't talk about, what she never mentioned during this, is that she, we fear the police. But nowhere did she mention fear of black on black crime. Fear of, again, a bullet coming through your window. We had two the night this happened while they were home, where a stray bullet went through their house. One landed on the couch. But let's not talk about that. That doesn't further our agenda. You don't know how it feels. So therefore, you can't fucking talk about it. I'm sorry, Councilwoman Jelks. It's bullshit. And again, the fact that no one on this council came back at you is wrong. I don't need to live in your shoes to know what's going on. I don't. I see it. We aren't blind. This city is not blind. We see what's going on. I know the game you're trying to play. I know the game. I know liberals better than they know themselves because I researched these people for years. I know what they're going to do before they do it. The only thing that caught me off guard today is that we had two Republicans that didn't have the balls or the spine to stand up to it. That's what really pisses me off. That they let this nonsense go on. And that's a shame. Like I said, that's an embarrassment for the Republican Party. But she wasn't done yet, ladies and gentlemen. She has more in store for you.
And police overwhelmingly are wonderful guys. We are very fortunate to have the force that we have. We're very fortunate.
Then why
are
we doing anything? If we're fortunate to have the force we have, what are we doing here? What are we talking about? What are we talking about? We're fortunate to have the police department we have. You're absolutely correct. We are. So what are we talking about? Because you can't sit there and say that we're lucky to have the police department we have, but then put in your bullshit resolution that the leading cause of death to black men is the police. Now, again, if you're talking about a national, then leave it there. Don't bring that shit to Meriden. Because all you're saying to our police department, our fine men and women who put their lives on the fucking line every day, is that they're the problem. It's okay to try to run over cops. Where 5 of them get hurt because they're afraid to pull that fucking gun out and put a bullet through a windshield while he's on the hood as someone's trying to run him over. But let's demonize these people. You gotta be out of your mind. And anyone in this city who's watching this, who agrees with this, is just as fucking crazy. It's crazy that this is where we are in this city. But she's not done yet. Hold on a second.
This community that will tell you that they have had experiences that are very similar to experiences that I have had or Council Graham has had. We're not saying that Meriden police are running around and they're killing people and putting their knees on people. We're talking about interactions that cause harm to people, period. And if you live in fear of your life constantly, that takes an emotional and a physical toll on your body. And the average white male does not have that constant threat in their life. And if you don't.
But why is that? Why is that? Because now we're getting back. Now she's getting back to what I've talked about for weeks and over a month. Maybe it's a cultural thing. Maybe it's a cultural issue in the inner cities. Why are police needing to interact? Do you think the police want to? Do you think the police have nothing better to do than to interact with the citizens on calls? No, they'd rather be doing 1,000 different things, like doing proactive policing. They would be loving to do community policing. They would be loving that. But instead, they're dealing with gunshots and batteries and assaults and rapes and everything else in between. That's what they're doing. You think they want to be doing this? No. No, they don't. They have much better things to do. But they're forced into these situations. They're forced to make these decisions. Decisions that you would have no friggin' idea what it takes to make them. You have no idea. But since we're not black, we're not brown, we don't understand. I understand bullshit when I hear it. And I'll call out bullshit when I hear it. Just because I'm not the same color as you does not mean that my perspective is any less valid. You put the police department in that position. Police don't just come out because they have nothing better else to do. They're called out. You have put them in that position, not the other way around. It's funny. It's funny that that's the way they think. That the only person that is forced into the situation is the person to fucking blame. Not the people that are forcing them to be there. It is absolute craziness.
Don't have it. You can't say you know what it's like to experience it. So I just ask that as we continue to have, because this is not the last conversation we're going to have on this topic. We have an entire racial equity agenda that I thought we were all collaborating together, that we were all trying to ensure that the lowest among us in our community, folks who have struggled, who continue to have health issues, who continue to struggle with poverty or violence or crime, whatever the issues might be, that we as a community, especially as this council body, we're going to think about everybody. We're not going to make assumptions that everybody's starting at the same place. And that's all this resolution is saying, that when we are looking at how our health department, how we look at how we service our residents, we will remember that there are people in our community who are disproportionately not going to fall in the same categories as other folk. And we just want to make sure that we don't forget that.
Hold on a second, because that brings me back to my main point. You do care what race they are. Your whole friggin' resolution is based off of race. There are more poor white people in the city of Meriden than black people. And there's more poor Hispanic people than everybody combined. But you, in your resolution, did nothing but sit there and point out minorities. That's it. So don't sit there and tell me with a straight face that we're looking at everybody, but this resolution is just based on minorities. And then you're sitting there saying, well, we're not completely done with this. We're not done with this conversation at all. Which only means there's more to come. And again, those who have sat there and voted for this have tied themselves to this entire agenda. Whether you want to admit it or not. You can sit there and tell me, no, this was just for the resolution. It doesn't matter. If it didn't matter, you wouldn't have voted for it. But you did vote for it. So now you're tied to it. So when that ship finally implodes and everything sinks, you're going right on down with it. Because if I was a Democrat, I'd fucking make sure of it. It is a disgrace. It's a disgrace of what's happened here. And I can't even listen to any more of this nonsense. Because I'm not even going to listen to the mayor, because the mayor means fucking nothing. Means nothing. So there's no point even listening to him. Because he's just as lost as the rest of them. Ladies and gentlemen, we are at a crossroads. I say that all the time. Now it's time to put up or shut up. Are we going to let this council divide us? Or are we going to come together as citizens of Meriden and fight back against this bullshit? Are we going to stand together and fight for our police officers? Are we going to sit there and fight for each other? Because they are doing nothing but trying to divide us. And I'm looking right at every one of you out there. Are you about to let this happen? Are you okay with them trying to divide us? I don't think you are. And like, I've talked to probably 100 people today that have all said, this is fucking crazy. And it is. But now it's up to us to sit there and say, no. The police are not the problem. Racism in this city is not the problem. Politicians are the fucking problem. And it is up to me, everyone that voted for this should fucking resign. Every one of them. It's an embarrassment. It's an embarrassment to this city. And it's an insult to the people of it. Ladies and gentlemen, I know this went long. And honestly, I could go on for another hour. This has got me so upset. You have no idea how pissed off I am today. How ashamed I am of today. That politicians have laid the groundwork for division in the city of Meriden. With no stats or statistics to prove any of their bullshit they're trying to peddle. Other than they feel that this is a problem. And they found it necessary to go after our police department as the leading cause of black deaths in America, which is everyone knows is bullshit. Our police are terrific. I support them 110%. I love every one of them. Can there be police reform? Absolutely. Absolutely. And we can have that. We have had that discussion. Being able to weed out the bad ones without the unions getting in the way. It's the first step. Not telling them that they're racist. Not telling the people of the city that they're racist, whether you know you are or not. Because like the resolution said, it could be unconscious. We've had a whole discussion on it with Linda. You don't even know you're having the thoughts. But you're a racist anyways. Just because you don't know you're having the thoughts. Ladies and gentlemen, this is where we're at in Meriden. This is where we're at. But we have the power to stop it. We have the power to stop this nonsense. Now the question is, will you help me do it? Share this video everywhere you friggin' can. Make sure everyone in the city of Meriden sees this video and knows what they are trying to do. This is why they won't go back to live meetings. They're scared shitless of the public. I would be too if I came up with shit like this. They're hiding. They're hiding behind their cameras at home because they don't want the public to be able to come out and look them straight in the eye and say, you are out of your fucking mind. And I know they're watching out there. I know they're watching this. I know both sides are out there watching this. They're starting a war they don't want to get into. Because if anyone knows me, I'm a relentless son of a bitch. And I ain't going away. I ain't going away at all. This is just the beginning. If you want a war, you, my friends, have fucking got one. Politicians want this war. Let's do it. I'm not letting you divide this country, this state, or this city. No way. No way. It's a travesty what's going on. And they should all be ashamed of themselves. Everyone who voted for this should be ashamed of themselves. A lot of things need to change. It's up to us to do it. They're not going to do it. They just proved it to you. They don't care. They care about their feelings more than you, the public. She's right. It's time to put our money where our mouths are. I'll go fucking broke getting these son of a bitches out. I guarantee you that. I will do everything I need to do to make sure things are changed. And you should too. If you love this city, it's time to stand up and support it. This resolution is just a first step. It is not the way we support it. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you for your time. I know I might seem very upset, and I am. I am. And this is not the last discussion we're going to have on this. But until then, I'm going to go out there, just like I say every week, spread peace, love, and happiness and support to every person out there, no matter what your color is, no matter where you come from. Because that is what's important. I will not stand for this. I love every single one of you out there, and I am going to work as hard as I can to make sure this shit is defeated. And so should you. Remember, we got a show tomorrow night. We're back to one of our regular schedules, and we're going to talk again, digital currency. So it's a great show for tomorrow night. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. But, ladies and gentlemen, no, not today. Not today's no fun. Not any fun today. But until we meet again tomorrow, as always, God bless you, and God bless this great fucking country of ours, because it is the greatest country on earth that gives everybody the opportunity to make something of themselves if they want to. That's what's so great. Bob Williams said it friggin' so wonderfully. This country gives opportunity to everybody. And it gives them the opportunity to speak the bullshit they spoke. But it gives us the opportunity to rebut it. So take care of yourself and each other. Again, create a positive circle of influence with everybody around you. I love you. Good night. Take care, and God bless you.